Listen closely, because I'm not going to sugarcoat this. What I'm about to reveal will completely change the way you see every single human interaction for the rest of your life. And here's the truth. Nobody ever taught you this. Not your father, not your teachers, not your mentors. Most men live and die without ever understanding the principles I'm about to lay out. 500 years ago, a man named Machiavelli wrote down the most dangerous truths about human nature ever put on paper. His book was so unsettling that the Catholic Church banned it. Leaders condemned it in public, yet studied it in private. Because inside were not lofty theories, not polite philosophies, but the raw operating manual of how humans actually work. And here's the part that stings. We've been conditioned to believe that learning about power is somehow evil. That if you study strategy, you're manipulative. That if you see reality clearly, you're cynical, but that's a lie. What I'm about to give you isn't corruption, it's clarity. Ignorance is not virtue. Ignorance is weakness. And weakness is what gets men crushed. So let's rip off the mask and start with the first truth your father never told you. People are not rational. They don't act based on logic or careful self-interest. They are emotional. They avoid discomfort. They chase pleasure. And they cling to illusions. Machiavelli once wrote, "Men judge more by the eye than by the hand. For everyone can see and few can feel." Translation: people make decisions based on appearances, not substance. You see this everywhere. The friend who asks for advice but ignores it because it's hard. The coworker who swears they're broke but spends money on daily luxuries. The woman who says she wants a nice guy, yet repeatedly chooses the opposite. Logic doesn't rule them. Emotion does. And here's the lesson. Don't waste your energy trying to convince people with facts. Don't assume that if you just explain clearly enough, they'll see the light. That's not how it works. If you want influence, you appeal to how people feel. You show them how your idea enhances their self-image, how it gives them instant gratification, how it spares them from pain. Alpha men don't win debates with spreadsheets. They win because they understand feelings move people, not facts. Now, let's talk about loyalty. Another lie you were probably raised with. You've been told loyalty is everything. That being loyal makes you good, honorable, respected. But Machiavelli warned us to see through that illusion. He wrote, "Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved." Here's what that really means. Loyalty without reciprocity is just you being used. Look at your life right now. That friend who only calls when he needs something, he's not loyal. That company that calls you family but lays people off the moment profits dip, they're not loyal. That woman who keeps her options open while expecting your commitment, she's not loyal. Machiavelli's point is brutal but liberating. Give loyalty, yes, but only when it's earned and reciprocated. And when it's not, withdraw it without hesitation. A man who keeps giving loyalty to those who don't return it isn't noble. He's a fool, and fools get trampled. Inspire loyalty through your strength and your value, not through weakness or blind devotion. And now we arrive at the third lesson, one that society has completely warped. Reputation. You were probably taught that your reputation is about being liked, about being agreeable, about everyone seeing you as a good guy. Wrong. Your reputation isn't about being liked. It's about being respected. Machiavelli said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few know what you are." Translation: perception is reality in the eyes of others. Authenticity doesn't mean bleeding out every detail of who you are. It means strategically controlling what people see while staying true to your core. Most men who complain about being misunderstood fail to realize this. They whine, "If people only knew the real me, they'd respect me." No, respect doesn't come from people knowing the real you. Respect comes from presenting the version of you that serves your goals. Want to be seen as competent? Stop complaining. Bring solutions. Want to be seen as valuable? Don't make yourself endlessly available. Scarcity creates worth. Want to be seen as powerful? Never explain your choices to people who don't matter to your mission. Your reputation is not built by accident. It's constructed through consistency, mystery, and selective vulnerability. That is what makes you magnetic. That is what builds respect. And we're just getting started. Because the next truths will hit even harder. They will shatter the illusion of peace, of being nice, of playing by the rules you thought mattered. Machiavelli didn't write for dreamers. He wrote for men who wanted to see clearly and survive in a world that punishes the naive. Let's move to the fourth truth. Machiavelli hammered into the world. Conflict is not optional. You were probably raised to avoid fights. Keep the peace, they told you. Don't stir trouble, just get along with everyone. But Machiavelli didn't see the world that way. He wrote, "There is no avoiding war. It can only be postponed to the advantage of others." What does that mean? It means conflict is always there, whether you acknowledge it or not. Every workplace, every friendship, every relationship, it's all layered with power struggles. Someone is competing for your spot at work. Someone is waiting for a chance to replace you in a relationship. Someone is quietly testing your boundaries in social situations. The man who pretends conflict doesn't exist is already losing. The man who prepares for it, who builds strength in times of peace, wins without having to fight. Think about it. The man who is fit and disciplined doesn't need to prove it in every confrontation. His readiness radiates. People sense it, and they back down. That's why Machiavelli compared power to the lion and the fox. He said, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves." You need both cunning and strength. If you're only strong, you'll be tricked. If you're only clever, you'll be overpowered. The key is balance. Prepare in silence. Build skills when no one is testing you. Save money while you're earning it. Expand your network before you need it. Stay sharp when life feels comfortable. That preparation is the shield that makes others hesitate before targeting you. The man who is ready for war rarely has to fight one. Now, here's the fifth truth, and this one cuts deeper than all the others. You were taught to just be nice. That if you're kind, agreeable, polite, that if you make people comfortable, then you'll be liked, loved, respected. But Machiavelli saw right through this fantasy. He knew there's a crucial difference between being nice and being good. Being nice is about avoiding discomfort. Being good is about doing what's right, even when it's difficult. Nice men avoid conflict. Good men embrace hard conversations. Nice men say what people want to hear. Good men say what people need to hear. Nice men chase approval. Good men command respect. Look at the world's most powerful figures, CEOs, leaders, champions. Were they nice guys in the way society defines niceness? No. They were firm, fair, principled. They helped people, yes, but they were never afraid of disappointing those who didn't matter. They weren't people pleasers. They weren't desperate to be liked. Machiavelli wrote, "Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims for his deceptions." What does that mean for you? It means if you try to build your life around being liked, you will always be a victim. Why? Because people will sense your neediness. They will test you. They will exploit the fact that you can't stand disapproval. And in the end, you'll be respected by no one. Strength combined with kindness is magnetic. Weakness wrapped in niceness is repulsive. If you want to be respected, you must be willing to risk not being liked. That is what separates the man people obey from the man people use. So let's review the ground we've covered so far. People are emotional, not logical. If you want influence, appeal to feelings, not facts. Loyalty without reciprocity is exploitation. Give it only when it's earned. Reputation is not about authenticity. It's about strategic perception. Conflict is inevitable. Prepare for it in peace so you never have to panic in war. Niceness is not goodness. True goodness has a backbone. 5 lessons that rewrite everything you've been taught about human nature. And if this feels uncomfortable, good. It should. Because for your entire life, you've been trained to believe the opposite. You've been trained to play a game that was designed for you to lose. And here's the final twist of the knife. Society doesn't want you to know these truths. Think about it. Schools don't teach them. Families often don't teach them. Why? Because predictable, agreeable, loyal men are easy to control. They're safe. They're manageable. They don't disrupt the system. But Machiavelli didn't write for the safe or the manageable. He wrote for those who wanted to rise, who wanted to rule, who wanted to see clearly in a world of illusions. And once you see, you can't unsee. In the next section, we're going to go deeper into how to use these truths. Not to become manipulative, not to become cruel, but to become unshakable. Because power isn't about crushing others. It's about building a life where no one can crush you. So here's where things get even darker, because the next truth is the one that most men refuse to accept. Perception is power. You've probably heard people say, "Just be yourself and everything will work out." Sounds nice, doesn't it? But it's a lie. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few really know what you are." Read that again. People don't deal with who you really are. They deal with who they think you are. Most men confuse authenticity with exposure. They think being authentic means showing everything, every emotion, every insecurity, every unfiltered thought. Then they wonder why no one respects them. But strategic authenticity is different. It's about controlling the image you project while keeping your core intact. You see, your reputation isn't a mirror of your true self. It's a mask. And that mask is the tool that shapes how people treat you. So if you walk into every room complaining about your problems, people won't see your struggles. They'll see incompetence. If you're always available, people won't see generosity. They'll see desperation. Want to be seen as competent? Never show up with just problems. Show up with solutions. Want to be seen as valuable? Don't let people get unlimited access to you. Scarcity builds desire. Want to be seen as powerful? Don't justify your decisions to people who have no influence over your life. The formula is simple. Consistency plus mystery plus controlled vulnerability equals a reputation that draws people in and keeps them second-guessing. When you master this, your presence alone shifts the room. Now let's return to conflict. Machiavelli warned, war cannot be avoided. It can only be postponed to the advantage of others. This wasn't just about armies. It was about everyday life. Think about it. In your career, someone is always eyeing your position. In relationships, someone is always waiting to take your place. In social circles, someone is always testing your boundaries. The men who pretend this isn't true end up blindsided. The men who prepare? They're rarely challenged. Conflict isn't something you wait for. It's something you anticipate. Build your skills in peace so you're untouchable when the storm comes. Save resources when life is easy so you're never desperate when it's hard. Keep your body sharp even when no one's threatening you, so the threat never arrives. This is why Machiavelli spoke of being both the fox and the lion. The fox sees the traps. The lion scares away the wolves. If you are only clever, you'll be outmuscled. If you are only strong, you'll be deceived. Power requires both. And here's the real advantage. When people sense you are prepared for conflict, they don't want it. They look for softer targets. They test weaker men. Your readiness alone becomes your shield. Now let's tear down the next big lie society sold you. That being liked is the same as being good. From childhood, you were told to be nice. Be polite. Don't offend. Don't make anyone uncomfortable. But here's the problem. Niceness is not the same as goodness. Niceness is submission. It's about avoiding friction. But goodness, real goodness, that requires strength. Nice guys don't speak up when they should. Good men say the hard truth. Nice guys bend over backward to please. Good men stand their ground. Nice guys chase approval. Good men earn respect. This is why women say they want a nice guy, but date the man who isn't afraid to stand firm. Because what they really crave is not niceness, it's strength with principle. Niceness without power is weakness. Goodness with power is leadership. Look around at the world's most influential men. Were they always nice? No, but were they respected? Absolutely. They had the courage to disappoint people who didn't matter. They had the clarity to put principles above popularity, and that made them magnetic. Machiavelli captured this when he wrote, "Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims." The nice guy is easy prey because he needs approval. He can't bear disapproval, so he bends, he submits, he sacrifices his dignity just to be liked. And in the end, he's neither liked nor respected. You need to stop confusing kindness with weakness. You can be kind without being submissive. You can be fair without being a pushover. You can be good without being agreeable. Strength wrapped in kindness is unforgettable. Weakness wrapped in niceness is disposable. That is the distinction every man must learn. So here's where we stand. Reputation, conflict, and the difference between niceness and goodness. These are not abstract ideas. They're weapons. And if you don't use them, someone else will use them against you. But we're not finished yet, because the final truths of Machiavelli aren't about how you treat others. They're about how you command yourself. The man who cannot control his own emotions, his own presence, his own image, is nothing but clay for others to mold. And in the next part, we'll uncover how to become immovable, how to master yourself so deeply that no one, no situation, no enemy can ever shake you again. Now we arrive at the truths most men never want to face, the truths that separate the weak from the untouchable. Let's start with emotional control. Think back to the last time someone disrespected you, insulted you, or pushed your buttons. Did you snap? Did you explain? Did you try to smooth it over? If so, you already lost. Because the second someone can provoke you, they own you. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He knew that power doesn't belong to the loudest voice or the angriest reaction. Power belongs to the man who cannot be moved. When others expect you to explode, but you remain calm. When they want you to defend yourself, but you go silent. That's when they realize they have no leverage over you. The man who controls his emotions controls the entire frame. And when you control the frame, you control the game. This is why silence is such a powerful weapon. Most people are addicted to explaining themselves. They justify, they apologize, they fill the air with reasons. But Machiavelli warned that the more you speak, the more you expose. The less you say, the more people project their fears onto you. They start writing their own story in their heads, and in that story, you are always more powerful than you appear. So here's a principle. Speak less than necessary. Don't explain to people who don't deserve it. Don't defend yourself to those who have no power over you. Every unnecessary word dilutes your authority. Every moment of silence multiplies it. Next, let's revisit reputation, but this time as a shield. Remember, people don't see who you truly are. They see the mask you choose to wear, and the man who masters that mask becomes unshakable. Want to be respected? Build a reputation that does the work for you. Want to be taken seriously? Don't let your image be casual or sloppy. Want to be unforgettable? Combine consistency with mystery. Give people just enough to study you, but never enough to fully define you. That's how you become magnetic. You don't reveal everything, you let people wonder, and when they wonder, they obsess. Now let's deal with loyalty again, but at its deepest level. Blind loyalty is a weakness. Strategic loyalty is power. Most men make the mistake of thinking loyalty is unconditional. But Machiavelli would laugh at that. He knew loyalty is a contract, and contracts can be broken the moment they stop serving you. Look at the people around you. Who really shows up when you're not useful to them? Who really has your back when you're at your weakest? That's real loyalty. Everyone else? They're opportunists. They'll take as long as you give, but the moment they find a better deal, they're gone. That's why the wise man is generous with loyalty, but ruthless with betrayal. You can be a great ally, but the moment someone breaks that contract, you walk away without hesitation. No speeches, no second chances. Because every act of misplaced loyalty chips away at your power until nothing remains. And here's the brutal truth. Men who cling to unreciprocated loyalty don't look noble. They look pathetic. They get used, they get walked on, and eventually they get discarded. Don't be that man. Inspire loyalty through your strength and value, not your desperation to be loved. Finally, let's talk about inevitability. You've been told that life is about harmony, about peace, about everyone getting along. But Machiavelli knew that underneath the surface, war is constant. It may not always be fists or armies, but it's competition, it's politics, it's ambition. Everywhere you go, someone is positioning themselves. Every room you enter has invisible hierarchies. And if you're not aware of that game, you're already being played. Here's the shift you need to make. Stop thinking of conflict as something that occasionally happens. Start realizing conflict is always happening. Every conversation, every negotiation, every relationship is a subtle tug of war for influence, respect, and control. So what do? You prepare, not with paranoia, but with clarity. Build your skills when you don't need them. Save when you're strong so you're never desperate when you're weak. Train your body when no one's threatening you. Position yourself before the challenge arrives. That's why Machiavelli compared the fox and the lion. You must be both, cunning enough to spot traps and strong enough to scare predators away. The combination makes you untouchable. Now, at this point, you may be thinking, this all sounds harsh. This sounds cold. And you're right. It is. But that's because the world is not built on fairness. It's built on advantage, and pretending otherwise doesn't make you virtuous, it makes you vulnerable. So, where does that leave us? With a new definition of what it means to be a man of power. It's not the man who's liked by everyone. It's not the man who's endlessly loyal, endlessly nice, endlessly available. No, the man of power is the one who controls himself, shapes perception, inspires loyalty through strength, and prepares for war even in times of peace. In the next section, we'll bring everything together. We'll strip away the last illusions and show you how these principles transform you into someone who can't be ignored, can't be manipulated, and can't be broken. We've come a long way. Now it's time to bring these truths together and see the bigger picture. Let's recap what we've uncovered so far. People are emotional, not logical. Influence their feelings, not their reasoning. Loyalty is a contract, not a virtue. Give it only where it's reciprocated. Reputation is everything. Control what people see, and you control how they treat you. Conflict isn't an accident. It's a constant. Prepare for it in times of peace. Niceness is weakness disguised as goodness. Real goodness requires strength. Silence, restraint, and emotional control are weapons that make you untouchable. These aren't theories. They're realities. And when you accept them, something changes in you. You stop being the man society conditioned you to be, the agreeable, predictable, easy-to-control man. And you start becoming the man Machiavelli wanted his readers to become: sovereign, respected, dangerous. Now, let's strip away the final illusion. Society doesn't want you to see the world this way. It teaches you the opposite on purpose. Why? Because systems thrive when men are predictable, compliant, and weak. Weak men are easy to manage. Strong men, clear-eyed, strategic, unshakable, are harder to control. That's why they told you to just be nice. That's why they told you to be endlessly loyal. That's why they told you authenticity means exposing everything about yourself. Because those lies make you safe for them and disposable for you. But the moment you internalize Machiavelli's wisdom, you step outside of that cage. You stop playing by rules that were designed to keep you powerless. You start shaping reality instead of being shaped by it. Machiavelli once wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." Most people misunderstand this line. They think it's a call to cruelty. It isn't. It's a call to gravity. When people fear disappointing you, when they fear losing your respect, when they hesitate before crossing your boundaries, that is power. And power protects you far more than popularity ever will. But here's the nuance. It's not about being cruel. It's about being undeniable. Better to be feared than loved. But worst of all is to be ignored. Because the man who is ignored has no influence, no presence, no respect. You must never be that man. So how do you apply this? Start small. Stop explaining yourself to people who don't deserve explanation. Stop giving loyalty where it isn't returned. Stop trying to win with logic when you should be influencing emotion. Build your reputation with intent. Make yourself scarce. Control your emotional responses until you become unreadable. The result? You'll notice a shift. People who once dismissed you will begin to take you seriously. Those who tried to use you will hesitate. Those who underestimated you will wonder what changed. You'll stop chasing approval and start commanding respect. And when that shift happens, something else will emerge: peace. Because true peace doesn't come from avoiding conflict. It comes from knowing you are prepared for it. True confidence doesn't come from being liked. It comes from knowing you can walk away from any room that doesn't respect you. This is why I told you at the beginning that I probably shouldn't be teaching you this. Because once you see the game, you can't unsee it. Once you understand how people actually work, the illusions fall away. And from that moment forward, you can never go back to being naive. Ignorance is weakness, but clarity makes you powerful. And once you're powerful, you're no longer at the mercy of others. You set the frame, you define the rules, you control the tempo. So here we are. 5 truths that most men will never learn. 5 truths that society doesn't want you to know. 5 truths that, if you apply them, will make you impossible to ignore. And now, the choice is yours. You can walk away from this video, nod your head, and go back to the same patterns that kept you weak. Or, you can act. You can start shaping perception. You can start cutting off misplaced loyalty. You can start speaking less and observing more. You can start becoming the man whose presence is felt, whose absence is feared, and whose boundaries are never tested twice. Because in the end, the world doesn't remember the men who were nice, who were loyal without reason, who explained themselves into irrelevance. The world remembers the men who mastered themselves, who understood the game, and who refused to be ignored. So I'll leave you with this. You now have the knowledge. Use it wisely. Build your life with strategy, not with blind hope. Stop waiting for respect to be handed to you. Start creating it piece by piece until your very name carries weight. And remember Machiavelli's warning. It is far safer to be feared than loved, but above all, never be ignored. If this opened your eyes, subscribe right now, because this is just the beginning. In the next lesson, I'll show you Machiavelli's most dangerous principle, how to make people desperate to win your approval. But fair warning, once you learn it, there's no turning back.